Hi, I'm Toni Williams, and this is Brooklyn Savvy. Hi, I'm Toni Williams, and welcome to Brooklyn Savvy. We're really delighted to have Elaine Meryl Brown as our guest today. But before we dive into our topic, I'm going to introduce our Savvy panel. We have Phyllis Thorne. Now, you are a professor at Mercy College. Ellen Salpeter and Denise Arbesu. They're both our regulars, so I need to So anyway, Elaine, first, let our viewers know, what is it that you're doing currently?
Okay, right now I'm Senior Marketing Director at the Newark Office of Film and Television in Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
So I'm helping them launch that office. It's very exciting.
But why we asked you on today has to do with this book that you co-authored, which is The Little Black Book of Success, Leadership Laws for Black Women, but it's for all women because the book is fabulous. So we wanted to kind of pick your brain about how do we move forward with our careers and that kind of thing. So my first question has to do with, all right, you're new to a job and you're really excited, and you're looking at, as you're sitting in that seat, you're thinking, okay, what is my future going to look like? How do we start creating that vision for ourselves?
Okay, well, great question, because first of all, I think when you just put yourself into a new situation, you're in a new company, you have to sort of be mindful of the culture.
Right.
And be very observant and see how people communicate with each other, see what the company's communication style is, see how people are showing up, coming to the office each day.
It seems like that transcends gender.
Oh, yes,
definitely,
yes,
definitely,
it does.
definitely.
It does. I
Right.
think oftentimes what many of us do is we come to work and we do our jobs and we go home, which is
Right, we don't soak it in, right?
Right, we think
Right.
we're there to get paid, and if we're doing a good job, that's what we need to do in order to be noticed and in order to be promoted, but that's not the case. So
Right.
I would think looking at the culture, sort of seeing what people are doing, developing relationships, even not only within your immediate department, even outside of the department, getting involved with maybe extracurricular activities.
So how do you do that? How do you take yourself beyond that group of people that you're working with?
Well,
what would be the strategies or tactics that you might use for that?
Well, you mentioned our book, The Little Black Book of Success, Laws of Leadership for Black Women. There's a chapter in it that I really love. It's called, Despite Your Position, Learn What's Going On in Your Company, Learn What's Going On in your department, and even in your industry. And so it's thinking outside of the box and bringing a lot more to the table than what your current job responsibilities and roles
your industry,
are.
That's pretty good.
Industry is really...
But how do you brand with your company? Sometimes you have to go one way in a corporation, and how do you do that? How do you identify?
How do you navigate maybe a
right,
corporation?
navigate, exactly.
Well, it depends on really what your goals are, and we talk about planning action sets. Actually, we talk about having a personal leadership notebook. We call that a PLN.
So a journal of some sort?
It's kind of a journal, but it's a way for you to keep track, because oftentimes we take advantage of what we do because we do it so well.
That's true.
That at the end of the year,
We're guilty of that.
But wait a minute. Do women really toot their own horn? Or
not
is
enough,
that
not hardly enough.
in a
That's a
private
whole
environment?
other
And if you
story.
do, it's
Right.
like, oh, look at you.
But that's why you need to keep a
Right,
journal
right,
or a
right.
leadership notebook so that you can toot your own horn, not only at the end of the year, but touch base with your boss on a fairly regular basis to let her know what accomplishments you've made, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, because even at the end of the year.
You have to be proactive about that, then you're
Absolutely,
saying.
absolutely.
I think
Because
that
that's your
works in life in
responsibility.
general.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
But there are many of us who think that just if we do what's required, if we do a
That's
good job,
right. That's
that we
how
will
most
be
of us
noticed.
think like that.
Work hard
Yes.
and
Come
you'll
on,
be recognized.
that work
That's not
ethic,
always
that-
the case.
no, it's
Work
not.
Smart.
It's knowing the right people.
And
So
absolutely.
when you come into a company and you're brand new, how do you identify those people? I guess create those relationships
Without looking too hungry, too,
Exactly.
You're
because
coming in and all of a
that's
sudden
turn
you're
off
looking like a
sometimes.
barracuda.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
And that's why it's important to really observe and really decide who it is, because you don't want to establish relationships with the wrong people.
That can
either.
happen, too,
Well,
if you
that
So
don't
it
know
sounds like
the
you
person.
do a listening
to-
tour for
Yes,
a
you
short
have
while.
to be very smart and cognizant of the decisions that you make, because just like life choices, the decisions you make in life, you have to be smart about those. You have to be smart about that when you're in a corporation too. So you do want to sort of, be aware of who's in a certain position. Look at who in that environment you want to be like in 2-3 years from now.
But what about someone that's been in a certain position for several years and there's only so many spots at the
Right.
top.
Right.
How do
Right.
you accept that this is where I'm going to be, or do you reinvent
Well,
yourself?
Or can you grow
Can you
out
go
as
this
opposed to
way
up, right?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes, you can absolutely grow horizontally as well as vertically. But I think to your point, Denise, I think you have to just be smart about whether or not you can actually reach that position. You know, if you're in
Within
a
one
company,
company.
Within one-
exactly.
Right.
You may have
Well,
to look
that's-
outside of
that's
the
im-
company, which is why it's
That's
important
important.
to get to know people outside of your industry and join
But
professional
it
organizations.
also seems
as well.
like in today's environment that so many people don't, you're not an IBMer for life. You're not, many,
Right.
some of
Yes.
you have been
in the
with
old
one
days,
agency.
it used to
In
be
the
that
old
way.
days.
Today,
I was gonna
a
say-
person can have 5
You're unusual
Exactly.
that you've
careers.
been there a long
Right.
time.
No, well,
and found that
and I think in
opportunity
my
for growth.
case, I'm one of those people that landed a dream job early that I've been able to make
Right.
so much
Yes.
of.
Right.
That is not
Right.
typically the case.
Right.
No.
Typically,
Right.
when someone gets in a job and is there for a long period of
Right.
time, they get stale.
Well,
You know,
also-
or they're,
But I also think, we're of a certain age. I think that if you look at millennials and you look at the generations, people want different things from jobs today.
Right,
They
today.
want
yeah,
leadership
they want
positions,
something
Right.
called
but-
work-life
Right.
balance that
Right.
we baby boomers know nothing about.
But they want someone who also
Right.
has that horizontal experience because the world is no longer, the world is becoming more flat because it's becoming more global.
That's the word.
Well,
the
you know,
world is more flat. I like
That's
that,
right.
I
right?
remember when I was coming up through the ranks and I was thinking of my career. I went back to school and I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I love working where I'm working, but if I finish school and there's not the position that I'm going to school for, I'm not moving forward, I'm not going to, say I'm going to
Stagnate.
stay here.
Yes,
I'm not going to
right.
stagnate. But today I don't think young people think that way. What I've seen is
Yeah.
people moving around. If they don't
Right.
get what they like, what they
right.
want, if
Now,
they don't
but
see
that's
a future
instant,
for themselves,
Right,
that's
right.
instant
But that can-
gratification that these young people are looking for. It doesn't happen like that.
I
Right.
still think
Right?
people come
Right.
out of school and want to pay their dues, not
Absolutely.
necessarily within the
Right.
same corporation.
but it can go the other way.
I
And
think
that's
so.
the point I'm making.
Yeah.
How does a young person know when they should hunker down and wait a
Right.
while?
Right. That's a
And-
good yes.
It depends. And there are a
look
lot
for
of
opportunities
variables.
or move forward.
I mean, it depends upon the company. If they like the company, if they've developed relationships, the companies, they love their boss. I think it's so important.
You know what?
to
Nowadays,
really have a good
the boss love.
who will support
Right.
you.
That's I'm
and
about.
help.
You know, they love
Yes.
me.
Yes. Bosses are so
They are.
important
They
and critical
really
because that
are.
can make or break a
Right.
career.
But
Oh,
That
and
can
I'd
make
like
or
to
break
talk
a
about
career.
that at some
Elaine,
point.
can
You
we
get your
focus
point.
on that?
Yeah.
How do you change perception? You know,
You mean if you've been
Self-perception or-
someone that
not necessarily self, but
right.
people tend to people tend to judge people.
Right, they look at
Sometimes-
you and they may
sometimes
think
it's just
whatever,
a very
right.
superficial
Right,
thing
right.
that it doesn't matter if you walk on water,
Right.
you will never change those people.
Right, right.
And you have to work, you have to be in that environment. How do you deal, not necessarily a difficult person,
Right.
it's a perception.
Right. I think, you have to work
360.
hard at changing perceptions. 360s
Change your
are
sex,
great.
perhaps.
But it's just maybe change your behavior, do things differently. Maybe, if someone sees
We'll
you
figure
as
out
one
why
way.
people have that perception.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
that's
people are
what
going to
people
have
say.
perceptions
But
regardless.
people-
I
yeah.
think you really
Yeah,
have
but
to
people are
work
always
hard,
fair.
and
understood.
women in particular have to work hard, and women of color I think have to work even harder
Yes,
to
yes,
change
yes.
some of those perceptions. And
Right.
it's incumbent upon us, not anyone else, to do
Right.
that for us. So
Right.
we have a lot of work to do. If we
all
wanna-
the time.
all
because
the
that gets
time.
into the whole issue of being politically savvy.
Right.
Yes.
If you don't have that, you're dead. Especially in big companies, I would,
Yes,
not
yes,
dead, but
yes.
you're limiting
and that's
yourself.
just being
How does-
aware. I call it being just
and
aware
in tune.
and in tune.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yeah,
How does
and
one
in tune.
develop that
You
if
know,
you don't come
Don't
with
you
it?
think too? A lot of it is doing your homework on the job. Like it's
Yeah.
as you say, you can
Well,
go
she
to
said
work,
that- right.
do your tasks,
Right.
and go home, or you can actually put your feelers out, do your job as well. But you can really start to kind of understand, talk to
But
everybody.
I think political
listen.
savvy has to do with your intuition too.
It
Yeah.
does.
You know,
But
that
it does.
you have to kind of know because you can make mistakes with people and not
Well, you
know
can't
you've
be
made
obtuse.
them.
And you know what?
Yeah,
That's
you
a
can't
great
be
point
obtuse.
because we don't do enough listening.
So
We have to
important.
listen more. We do a lot of
present.
talking, and we're really more concerned about getting our own points across. That sometimes we're not good listeners, and people don't realize that listening is a skill. And I think that would help with some of that political savvy, just
You're right.
savviness.
You're
to-
absolutely right because I know of a woman who can tell me word for word what was said at a meeting. I could never do that because it goes through the Tony Williams filter, and by the time I get it
Right.
to you, I mean, you're
Right,
going to
right,
get some of the truth, but you're getting me in there.
Right,
Yeah, it's
right.
like
It's a
talking
great
to your
skill.
children.
Right.
It is a great
Something-
skill.
One
Right.
of the things that comes to mind is the fact that we're in such a fast-paced world, and
Yes.
we want instant gratification. I think that we've forgotten how to be present,
Yes.
how to just
Yes.
relax and be present to our environment,
Right.
and like you said, listen and feel, use your intuition. That helps us to pick up the clues as to what's
Exactly.
going on and,
Right.
where we fit in.
And then talking about corporate hierarchy, all right,
Right.
you're coming in, you're at the low end of the totem pole, you want to get to some of those people
Right.
at the top.
Right.
You know,
They're blockers
they're
there.
right. These people
Blockers.
that are in your way
Who
to
never
getting
let
the
you
people
get
you
there.
need to know.
Right.
Right.
How does one maneuver?
Well,
'Cause that's
you
what
know,
that
well,
would
sometimes
be.
maneuvering is right. Sometimes you have to go around. You can't go through the door. You have to go
Exactly.
around, and sometimes through the back door. But I think that's, and I go back to establishing relationships with people within your industry, not just at your
Right.
work, in your
Right.
industry, because it's
Right.
important not just to have mentors within your organization, but
absolutely correct.
outside
That's
your
like
organization,
Abe.
because
Yes.
that
Those
comes
affinity
Absolutely
groups.
correct. You're
Yeah.
absolutely
Right.
correct. Because
Right.
sometimes belonging to those industries or industry organizations gives you an opportunity to get to people that you might not be
Right,
able to
exactly,
get into
exactly.
in
You
your
get a different
own corporate, in your
perspective.
own world.
And it's those people
Right.
who are at higher ups in that organization outside of your company who actually know those people who are
Absolutely.
in higher organizations within
Right.
your
In your
company.
company. Right,
So
right.
that's going the around, about
And
way
this
of,
is a great viewers.
great
This is a
strategy.
great strategy, a great secret. Take it
right,
from me.
right,
This really would
Right,
work.
right.
But I think we're going to have to break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.